My guest today is no stranger to Bullet in Flight Radio. Canadian-born Daryl Walter, who is an all-around creative who hosts the Daryl Walter Show on Pyro Media Network every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and on Bullet in Flight Radio every Tuesday. Like many others before him, he grew up in the church and singing since he was 7 years old. When he had the opportunity to enter into the entertainment industry, he took it and sang for both gospel and non-gospel artists. And some of the most famous artists are Mariah Carey and Josh Groban. Daryl has been on a journey to deconstruct his faith and a journey of self-healing, which he opens up and shares with his 20+ thousand followers. Please help me welcome to the show, Daryl Walter. All right, it's ringing.
This call is being recorded.
Oh. Hello. Is this Daryl Walter?
This is Daryl.
Of the Daryl Walter Show?
Of the Daryl Walter Show, yes.
Hey, this is just Dominic from Bullet in Flight Radio. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Dominic. How are you?
I am doing awesome. I have been looking forward to this interview for a minute now.
I've been looking forward to it since our last conversation. I'm excited.
That is awesome. Everyone, you have already heard the introduction of my next guest, so we are just going to get into it. You got a time for a few questions?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So tell everyone and new fans that are listening to you on Bullet in Flight Radio who may not have caught your visual show on Pyro Media Network, tell us a little bit about how you got started in this industry, actually.
That is a very good question, actually. No one's really asked me that. You know, the truth is I got started in this. I've always been connected to entertainment, but in this particular medium and industry, I got started because of the pandemic. I was laid off from my day job. Yeah. And I had a friend who had a Christian radio network, and he hit me up. He actually hit me up a few months before, and I hit him back, and I said, you know what? He said he would train me, kind of mentor me, and I said, you know what? I'll do it. And he said, well, you'll have your own show, and you'll do this, and however you want to do it. And that's kind of how I got started into it. And yeah, it's been great, and also TikTok.
Wow, that is so interesting. You know, the pandemic was such an interesting time, and I told someone else another guest a while back. I said, you know, the pandemic was the worst of times and the best of times in a way. A lot of people may have gotten laid off from their job, or their income stopped, or there was a life change. But it seemed to push everybody virtually online, and in a world that we weren't really tapping into as much. So, yeah, that's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
And your voice has been badly needed. And for all those that may not catch the Daryl Walter Show just yet, please check him out every Tuesday right here on Bullet in Flight Radio and on Pyro Media as well. But his show, his topics, he talks about masculinity versus femininity and toxic masculinity, good masculinity versus toxic masculinity, the church and all the issues in the church, music, what's trending. He has a very well-rounded show, everyone. So please be sure to check him out. But we're going to get more into that a little bit later. So tell us about your background. I know that you have a background in ministry and in music. Talk to us about your upbringing and how you started.
I do. So I have I was born in Canada, so I always start out with that. Born in Canada, born to a single parent household. My mom and I moved down to California. I've always, from the time I was born, was kind of like that that entertainment, that performer baby. You know, you always ask people like who are singers, like when did you start singing? It's always like 2, 3, for church and stuff like that. So that was me. So, before I sang in church, I was singing in. I was the kid that would grab a broom and start singing, right? Tie a towel around my hair and perform. I was doing song and dance at school, and then I got into church. I started singing in the choir. I grew up in church, and a lot of people, if you follow me on social media, I grew up in Church of God in Christ, and being involved in that led me to start singing and performing choirs. So my first, I guess, big choir was like the Convocation, State Youth Choir, who, we had people like Judy McAllister, Lawrence Matthews, of course, the Clark sisters, and different people that came through because I was a part of that organization. Then I went on to perform with Tim Brown, who wrote he wrote the song Beverly Crawford, "If the Lord does nothing else, he's done enough." You ever heard that song?
Okay. Yes, I know her too. Yeah.
Yeah, so the guy that wrote that, I came up under him. And then my life fell into professional music. I was a professional recording artist. I was signed to a production deal, sang background for En Vogue. Just, a lot. Yeah, I sang background for Josh Groban at the Hollywood Bowl in a choir. I've done a lot. And so my background, I've just always been involved in church and always been involved in gospel music and heavy on the gospel music side. So I've had a chance to meet and perform with, this is not even bragging, it just is what it is. But,
you just lay out your resume. That's right. You lived it.
Kirk Carr, oh gosh, of course I said En Vogue, Josh Groban, a lot of different people. Save the Last Dance soundtrack, Mariah Carey. Her Christmas, I was in the choir several years ago. I'm around a lot of producers and done my own stuff, and yeah.
Wow. Well, that's one thing we have in common. I have sang background for Mariah Carey too.
Okay.
In the choir. Yes, that's right. That is so funny. Wow, that is insane. And that's so good to know because anyone who's listening in, if you listen to Daryl's show, you will hear him hum a little bit here and there. And and for me, my ears go up like antennas. If you could tell when somebody is just humming, just humming, and then someone who's humming who can really sing.
I get down.
Go ahead. What you say?
I said I get down a little bit. I can hum a tune. I can hum a note or two, if you will.
Oh yes, you can. I immediately thought, oh man, I want to sing with him. One of the first things I was like, oh, who is that? Listen to that voice.
Yeah.
And I love the way you run. I heard the way you. So yeah, I was like, okay, all right.
Oh, I came up under the Kim Burrell era and the Karen Clark era. So yeah. I love a good riff and run. And I did all of that music, but I will say, many years into music, I feel like I left. I left California, left music. I now reside in Las Vegas. And I'll tell you a funny story. I don't want to take up too much time, but I moved to Las Vegas with the intentions of no longer being involved in music, no longer being involved in any type of entertainment whatsoever. I plan to work in restaurant industry and, just work and live my days. My mom had passed, a lot had transpired, I'd come out of depression. So I moved to Vegas, and a friend of mine, he says, there's a church out here. They're having a musical. I know you love music. You should go check it out. so I go to the church and I go to check it out, and I'm just sitting enjoying music, and I'm just sitting there, and the pastor looks at me, and you won't believe what the pastor, or maybe you will believe what the pastor says.
I sure can. I kind of almost already know. He called you up, didn't he?
You look like you can. No, oh, even better. You look like you can sing. I said, well, yes, I can. Can you come back and sing for us next Sunday? Will you be our guest soloist? And so from that moment, the church hired me to be their soloist.
Wow.
And so there I started singing at the church every Sunday. And from me singing at the church every Sunday, I went on to produce a live show in Vegas for local talent, and I did that twice. And then I just started getting involved in social media, and you see the Daryl Walter Show today. But I say all that to say, I don't know who's listening out there, but a lot of times, I believe what happens is we'll go after a dream, and because of a no, because of a bad experience, because of just life, we let it go, right? We say we're done with it. Yeah. I'm just going to go to plan B. But I really feel strongly that whatever you're called to do in life, you will be called back to it.
That's right. That is
what I'm
so
saying?
true. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to try not to go to the Bible here, but I'm going to go at least one time. The Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go, because when they're old, they will not depart from those ways. Right. This is exactly what we're talking about, what the purpose that you were created and put here for. You were put here to create beautiful melodies and sing, and you can't get away from that no matter where you go. Because wherever you run, there you shall be.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, I heard somebody the other day, and it sat with me. Purpose is not what you do, right? We're all like looking for our purpose, but our purpose is in how we make others feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
love it.
Your purpose is in the other end of the person receiving it. So a lot of times we're trying to find our purpose, not realizing the purpose is right there in front of us. Like, and so for me, it's this, it's radio, it's social media, it's visual, it's music, it's singing. It's through these things that my purpose, is found, because it's how others feel, it's how other people will feel when they listen to this interview. Even I don't even know why we're going down this lane.
Right? This is really interesting. We don't know who's listening in and who's going to be listening in, but this show is tailor-made for you. So please don't tune away. Don't go away, because this whole interview is going to be fantastic. I can tell you that.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, do you play any instruments, or do you have any secret talents that we don't know about?
So I'm classically trained. I actually studied classical music for a year at Cal State Northridge. I can dabble on the piano a little bit also. So I can belt out a or two.
Wow. This is something that is extremely rare. I only know two other people. I've only met two other people in my life, of African-American descent, that sing, that are classically trained. And so it really does my heart. Oh, God, I would love to hear you. Hopefully you do something and you record something, some beautiful classically trained operatic bop. I'll say that. Okay. We would love to get down and even play that on Bulletin Flight Radio. Wow.
Thank you. That's something to, you put it in the atmosphere, so we'll see what manifests.
Yeah, there's not a lot of us that pursue classical music. Just like there's not a lot of us that pursue country music.
Just music in general. I mean, and like we were talking about from the last time, I would say just music in general when I was coming up was very segregated in some senses, right? Where I feel like I know for me, I think about when I was doing classical, I felt like the oddball, right? Because black people were like, classical? What you doing classical? Ain't no black people in classical, and everybody was in R&B, hip hop, and that's kind of like the main place. And I feel like modern day, fast forward to now, we're kind of seeing the blossoming of music more diverse, right? We're seeing, more black country artists. We're seeing, artists tap into different places in music that they just weren't before.
That's right. That's right. No, go ahead.
The only thing I don't see changing is gospel music.
Unfortunately, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to change from the inside. It's too perverted.
Oh.
But I digress. But that's my feelings. In all honesty, I think that the gospel music industry, is too perverted.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that changes and what it becomes from the outside. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. So, you think so? Yeah. I know that's loaded. A loaded statement that I made. And if you want to go there, we can talk more about that.
No, listen. Like I said, I'm an open book, and I just since in that conversation there, one of the things I was thinking about is fundamentals and beliefs and music, and how I think there's an unfair and kind of like an elitist way in the gospel music industry. And when I say that, I mean, one of the things I was thinking about is will there be openly gay artists that are accepted in the gospel music industry, right? And we have gay people, the LGBT community involved in the music industry all over, right? From hair, from makeup to production, to some of the artists that we know are part of the LGBT community, but will never be open, right? Because at the end of the day, I think being open about it in the gospel community is just something that they're just not willing to do, and I think therein lies the perversion.
Yes, correct, because we've seen R&B, we've seen hip hop and pop music go through changes. They are evolving. They're taking down a lot of the PR that they had in place, where you have your beard or / husband or wife that they put you with to make you appear one way. All those things are falling down in every other genre. And we are supposed to be the gospel, the light of the world, are full of lies and secrets and double lives and all of this kind of thing. Why are we the last ones to tell the truth when we're supposed to be the first ones to tell the truth? That's just one of my, I'll never understand. That's one of my questions that I probably will never be answered.
Well, and this is the thing, is that who's to say they're not telling the truth?
Okay.
And when I say that, I mean, if you have trained me to believe the sky is purple for 50 years, and I believe the sky is purple, even though I know the sky is blue, if that's what you've been trained to believe, and that goes into the Christian belief. How do I say this? There's a lot of things that we've just been trained to do and believe. And because that's what we've been trained to do, it is so hard to accept something different, and I just, even with gospel music, I just think there's a lot to think about.
Yes, there is. there's a lot to think about, and we're supposed to be super wise as serpents, as they say. But we played that game, like you say. We're taught to believe things instead of being free thinkers and seeing truth where we should see truth, because we're supposed to live in spirit and in truth. But anyway, we don't. And I believe that that's why this particular genre is hurting. And they are not leaders anymore, but they're followers. They worship R&B singers. They worship everybody else, and everybody else is cooler.
Yeah. It's
twisted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is twisted, and it's something that I realize. I'll say this. I have a deep experience in the music industry, and I have, lots of stories to tell, from my production deal, to being in gospel music and being overlooked because I didn't look manly enough, or I looked back, I had gay qualities. I don't know what that looks like, but obviously to them I wasn't, what they were looking for. And I think with the gospel industry, there's that element of hierarchy and being man enough, woman enough, etc. And being accepted.
Yes.
I know I said a lot.
True. No, you did, and you just make me think. I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there can testify to their experiences being in choir or going professional, or having ambitions on going professional. And within those meetings and production sessions, you're constantly told that you have to change everything that makes you your authentic self. And it can be crushing. It can truly destroy you, destroy your dreams, and you can end up running from music, especially gospel music, for decades. I know that's my testimony. I didn't listen to gospel for like 15 years. I didn't know any new gospel artists. I didn't listen to any gospel music in any way, shape, or form, because it reminded me of my hurt,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So getting back, so go ahead. You were about to say something.
No. Go ahead. Let's continue the conversation.
Okay. So let's lighten the mood just a little bit. And with this next question, that should be easy. So tell us where you see your career, your ambition, your show going in the next 10 years.
That's so funny you asked me that, So I actually asked myself this question yesterday. I've been asking myself this question. Because one of the things that I've really been thinking about is what are my next moves? What am I going to be doing? I do have my day job. I work in restaurant, and it's been a great experience, But I was thinking to myself, like, is this what I want to do?
Yeah.
Like so many times we end up in jobs where it's like, I got my job, I got my 401k, I'm a supervisor now, I'm going to make it to level 2, and, it's going to pay this much. But then in all of that, it's like, for me, I ask myself the question, is this what I set out to do in life?
Right.
Is this what my plan was? And I understand that there's God's plan also, but it's like, do I really love this? Is this my passion? See, remember that word passion?
Yes.
So to answer your question, in the next 10 years, I would love to see this show expand to TV, to a larger platform. And also, one of the things that I've been thinking about, when I started this platform, it really just kind of started out of, I just want to share music and talk about stuff that I love to do. And then, I started doing gossip. But you know what? I realized I'm like, I don't like to gossip. I'll share a story here and there, but like how gossip, the people on YouTube, the bloggers, right? The Tasha K's and the Armand Wiggins and etc. That's not exactly the lane that I want to go down. And so as I'm finding my footing in this platform, as people are listening to me, in the next 10 years, people who've inspired me are people like Iyanla, like Oprah, like Karamo, people who have really talked about topics and things that are important to us to bring about a change, bring about bettering. You know what I mean? So, I just really feel like in the next 10 years, one, I see myself finding my lane. Like, no, I don't have to be a gossiper. I don't have to be about the negativity to be successful in the social media, realm. And also, one of my dreams, I've never said this out loud, and I'm going to say this to manifest it. Do you remember American Bandstand?
Of course.
That's like my jam. I want to host an American Bandstand where I have different artists and music, and like I interview them, but I have a live audience also.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I would just
and that's been missing. Because like I was born in the 70s, okay? So I grew up with Soul Train, American Bandstand. Those were staples in my household. And there's nothing like that. And we turned to MTV after a while, and then BET, 106 in Park. But those things kind of shifted or changed. I don't even know, most of them have gone away at this point in time. So, yes, we need that to a resurgence. That's the word I was looking for. A resurgence of that type of media. That would be awesome.
It will. And listen, I'm not saying this because I'm me, but like in all honesty, I'm a whole vibe.
I love it. Yes. You're more than one thing. Yes.
It would be so much fun. So, I just feel like I want to. I love to sing and I love music, but also I love to be around music and entertainers and creatives and be able to introduce next generation, new generation, old, be able to introduce those voices, those artistries to the world where people are like, Daryl, if I hadn't watched your show, I would have known this person, or if I hadn't watched the show, I wouldn't have known that story or what they've been through. I want to really just come from that unique lens and angle.
Yes, that would be awesome. Oh my God, yes. And we all know Bobby Jones from Bobby Jones Gospel. He didn't retire pretty much. And so no one has even taken that place. In the gospel and pop and R&B, that whole area is vacant. And, I'm just putting this out there. I would love for you to do some jazz too. Like talk about jazz artists, because from Detroit, jazz is a really big thing in jazz, Chicago, and all that, the Midwest. And we don't talk about new jazz artists and jazz music very much as well. So, oh boy, that gave me goosebumps when you said that.
Because you know what it is? In all honesty, I'm a lover of music. Even if I've never heard it before, I will sit down and listen to it, because music in general has a history and has a story to tell, right?
Yeah.
And in this new day and era, I love the new music. I love the new medium, social media and everything. But sometimes I feel like, it flushes out or it ignores the other beautiful music, like, like you said, jazz. I mean, there are jazz artists that are making a living, that are traveling around the world singing at jazz festivals that we will never see on TV. Samara Joy is bringing our eyes back to jazz, but there are many jazz artists that are performing, opera artists. I follow one guy, Jared Lee, on social media, who's a young opera artist. But even, we're talking about rock, talking about country, talking about pop, talking about indie, like just great artists all over the world that we don't get a chance to hear. One, because the main artists are polluting the social media with gossip and stuff that's irrelevant. Nobody cares about Krishan.
No, we don't. We don't. I want to hear music. I want to hear people that are changing the landscape of music right now. That's what we care about as musicians and music lovers. That's what we care about.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, if you could collaborate with anyone or group, it doesn't matter, anyone, on a project, whom would it be and why?
Okay, so I'm going to preface it with one question. Are we talking about a whole project, one song, one record, a duet, or just anybody I could collaborate with?
Correct. Anything, because we're talking about your 10-year plan. And so we're putting it out there that this is what's going to happen. We're speaking it to the universe. So I'm just asking this as a part of that, a part of your 10-year plan. If you could collaborate on any type of, like you said, you mentioned Oprah, you mentioned this one and that one. If you could collaborate on any type of project with anyone, whom would it be and why?
So I have, this is difficult. You know what? I'm not going to I'm going to say this. It's going to be controversial. I have 3 people off the top of my head.
Okay.
In no particular order. Now, I don't want you to be mad at me for anybody that I say, okay?
Okay, everybody, don't get mad.
Please don't get mad. So the first one, I would love to collaborate with Rashawn Patterson.
Okay.
I would love
That's
to.
Awesome.
What was that?
That's awesome. He's awesome. Oh, I'm there with you.
His ear is unmatched, and I just feel like I just feel like we can make magic somehow. He would be amazing. My second person who's connected to Rashawn Patterson would be Layla Hathaway.
Wow.
And my third person, and I want you to hear me out on this. Hear me out. It would be Kim Burrell.
Okay, you definitely got to tell us why. You got to tell us why.
Kim Burrell is still one of the greatest vocalists, and I feel like she's someone who's misunderstood. But and here's the thing. Listen, I have a friend who's going to hear this interview and he may end the friendship or cuss me out. I don't know. But I feel like, I know how people feel about Kim Burrell. And I know that, she said damaging things.
It's about how she feels about us, I think.
I think she's misunderstood. And the thing about it is, okay, let me say this. Outside of the person, now I know I'm out on, listen, let me just say this. I know I'm by myself out on this one. I do believe in grace. But I think that she's a musician. When you listen to her sing and play, her mind and what comes out of it is like, I would love to be in the studio with her.
Okay.
I would just love to be
I respect that. And everyone, please don't give Daryl any hate for what he said, because in all honesty, I think that there are a lot of musicians that are so super talented out there, dead and alive, that we would give our right arm to work with.
And can I say this? This is what a lot of people don't realize. Some of our greatest geniuses and artists and musicians are some of the craziest, most off people.
Sure is. You can say that again.
And I know that as an artist. Yeah, and listen,
yeah.
I've said my piece about Kim Burrell, but and I'll say this also. There's a lot of your favorite artists that you love and adore that don't like you because of who you sleep with. That's another conversation.
Exactly.
They'll never come out and
because I was thinking, I said, one of mine would be Twinkie Clark. But just like you said, I don't know what she feel about me. or feel about us as a community, because according to them, they frown upon people like us. So, what does that look like there? So I understand where you're coming from.
And you know what? Here's the thing about it, and I really, let me say this. I think about this all the time. I am someone, Mother's Day is coming up this week, and we're in that time of celebrating our parents. And, I grew up in church. So when I came out to my mom, of course, that conflict she had with her religious beliefs came in. And they came in hard. Did she kick me out? No, but I know in the back of in deep down inside that she was struggling with, how she felt and her son being gay, and for a lot of people, and I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying, growing up Kojic and being in that culture, there's a lot of people out there that are just struggling with this, and there's a lot of people who refuse to change it because that is all they know.
Yeah, and they refuse to educate themselves. Mm-hmm. That's the troubling piece. You say, because I've heard that excuse, well, it's all I know. Well, there's education. Because all you know is not all there is to know.
Right. But also there's a fear of the unknown, right? And people are unwilling to address that fear, right? Because you think about it. It makes me think of, if you find a dog that's been abused all its life and you rescue it, right? That dog is not automatically going to be loving and understand it's in this loving environment. It's still going to act like it's in that abused environment. Why? Because that's all they know, right? Until you have to teach them, you have to bathe them, you have to love them, you have to let them know that it's safe, you got to let them know it's okay. I'm not comparing us to dogs or giving a justification, but, think about it. If you've been in a house all your life and somebody says, go outside, go outside and get the $1 million, for some of you, you may not go outside because all your life somebody's been telling you a story that there's nothing but fire out there. And if you go out there, you'll burn up.
Right. So true.
Even if there's not a fire out there.
Exactly.
But I don't take that away because I get in the studio with R. Kelly too. I will. Now my children my baby can't come.
I know that's right.
But I want to step in the studio with R. Kelly too, and I will have a camera. And no, we will not drink from the same cup.
Yeah, there are some people, but that's really a good point. I'm glad we touched upon that, and I just want to repeat that again. That sometimes it is all people know, but it is not all there is to know.
Yeah,
and so and that's right, and I agree with you. Some people they've been conditioned to certain things to believe certain things. So everything is a choice. We have the choice to stay ignorant and with all that we know, or we can make the choice to learn all there is to know about whatever subject. And the church is extremely ignorant to science and medical science even. We believe we just say a prayer. You don't have to take that aspirin. Just say a prayer. Just say Jesus 6 times and spin around 3 times, and then everything's going to be all right. So we have been conditioned to believe in a very superstitious way instead of, really understanding. And we read that Paul was an educated man. We read that Daniel and others were educated people in the Bible, but yet we lack a lot of, that's a whole thing. So tell me, what would you say your greatest passion and conviction is? It's all that you lived through.
You just gonna ask me the heavy. My that was heavy. It's like, what is it? My greatest passion. You know what? I can answer this. My greatest passion is people. I do love people. I love, and I've said this before. I really do love people. flaws and all.
Yeah.
Flaws and all, I love her. In all that I've been through and everything that I've experienced,
Yeah.
I can honestly say that I have been humbled through grace to love people even more. Like, I can love a racist, I can love a Klan member,
And you can love Kimberell.
I can love Kimberell. Oh, that's Kibbles and Bits. That's Kibbles and Bits.
I'm just being silly with you.
But compared to some, listen, compared to some of y'all baby daddies out there, that's easy.
Ooh, I heard that.
I'm just saying, I've met some of y'all baby daddies out there.
I know that's right.
You know, because they be up in my DM. But I'm just
I know that's right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
so
that's
what would
my,
you say
my
your greatest Okay, that's your greatest
my
passion
greatest
is people. And what would your greatest? Yes, sir.
My greatest conviction. Wow.
I think I kind of know what it is just based upon your subject matter
Okay.
on your show.
Okay.
I think your greatest conviction, and this is just me speaking for you, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think your greatest conviction is the conviction of, I don't want to say debunking. Can I say that? Maybe debunking masculinity. Toxic behaviors that hurt our communities. That seems to be where I think your greatest conviction lies.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I would have to agree with that, and I would say I have this painting in my room that says "Love is love," right? And so for me, I always want to get down to the foundation of love. And so a lot of things that we have covered up are covered up in untruth. So even in, toxic masculinity, whether it's gay or straight, or even, the future, we're going to be talking about redefining what it is to be a man. A lot of things that we look at in relationships and just life and how we look at them. You're absolutely right. I think I'm here to challenge it. And not to say, look at me, I'm right, but just to say, you know what? I can look at it a different way.
Yeah, let's have this open conversation. I really think your conversations are extremely smart. So, very
Thank you.
intellectual.
That's my goal. I think I will say this, a lot of our misunderstanding is shrouded in just not having a conversation.
Yeah. So true. Very true.
Yeah, and if we just had more conversations, and this is what I've learned at this point, have the conversations without cussing each other out.
Yes. Just talk.
Just talk.
That's all we need to do, but we don't. But yeah, you bring up a lot of stuff, and I've heard you say even within the gay community there is this very toxic masculine idea. There's a very toxic masculine idea that if you act like this, then you're better than someone who acts like this. But yeah, you sleep with them, but publicly, this and that, and it is very twisted. So I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and even in that conversation with toxic masculinity in the gay community, not only does it affect other men, you know who it affects? Who we need to, Black women.
Ooh, you're right. Yes.
A lot of Black women are on the receiving end of our toxic masculinity.
Yes. That is very true.
It's so interesting because when I talk to some of my girlfriends about it, it comes in ways that I would say that I had to re-examine myself and look at how I was approaching certain topics and how maybe I was butting into conversations that I truly had no business in.
Wow, that's a good point.
It's a and I'll go a step further because I think it even goes into the transgender community and with transgender women and our toxic masculinity that we put on them also.
Absolutely. Oh, the trans community really gets, well, we haven't even unpacked that, but they are, to me, the poster child for masculinity.
Yeah.
And the conversation and the threat and the insecurity of masculinity.
Absolutely. And I
From
feel like
trans
it's
women going to men, everything. It's so threatening to some people.
It's threatening and it's also damaging. I don't think we look at the damage that we as gay men do and contribute in terms of the conversation of toxic masculinity.
Yes. Yeah, we really do. But look at what we come out of. Men don't cry. Be a man. God forbid you were 5 or 9 years. I remember seeing my nephew. I think he was 11 at the time, and he cried over something. I can't remember what it was. And his mother, my sister, went off.
Yeah.
Be a man. Men don't cry. Da 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 da. And he was genuinely hurt about something, and his feelings were hurt, and he had every right to cry. And so, I don't know where it comes from or how we can even change it. But even as men and women and men in our black community, we are always told that men behave like this and women behave like this. And it's just not true. Your genitals have nothing to do with you, your soul, and what you like and what you dislike. You know?
Exactly. And we're moving forward. We're moving forward, but it definitely it takes time. And people like yourself are part of the solution,
Thank you, Daryl. I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
I try to be, from my music to whatever, because I feel like nobody can tell me who I can be. If you did not conceive me, did not create my soul, endow me with gifts and talents and passions and convictions, then you have nothing to say. That is my attitude today.
Yeah.
But, but I totally understand that. So let me ask you, what do you want people to know most about you, your platform? Who is Daryl Walter?
Keep following and find out. But who is Daryl Walter? I want people to be engaged. My overall prayer is I want people to leave uplifted, encouraged, inspired, and laugh. Who Daryl Walter is evolving right now. So as I'm finding out who Daryl is, you are finding out who Daryl is. And I'll say this. You may go to an old video from a year or two ago, and I'll be like, that is an old version of me. I have changed my thinking. I'm in a different space. And that's the beauty in being an artist and being a creative and being a part of this moment in time. Who Daryl Walter is, I'm a conversationalist. I am someone who wants to get down to the truth. I am also a singer. I accept now, in some sense, I am some sort of minister or encourager. Whatever you want to call me. I don't call myself a minister, but if you want to call me a minister, totally fine. I don't have a issue with labels or anything like that, but I want people to feel good when they walk away.
I think that the better title for you would be humanitarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that's what I see in you. And yes, when I look at you, do I see God? Of course, because we're all made in His image and likeness. We're all made in her image and likeness. And you see that. And you are a gateway to me for those that are looking for a better knowledge and understanding of themselves. And I love how you said that. Who is Daryl Walter? I am evolving.
I'm constantly evolving.
Actually.
Let me tell you, I'm on a 45-day no alcohol kick. I'm on this no alcohol kick right now, and I'm working out. So you getting this version of Daryl. A year from now, I may be enjoying bourbons and traveling the world. So you're gonna get world traveling, bourbon drinking Daryl.
With Oprah. That's right.
With Oprah in the Alpines, you know. But whatever you're gonna get, it's gonna be good. And I think, you know, the beauty we all need to realize. You can have many versions of you.
That's right.
There doesn't have to be absolute. But yes, I am a humanitarian. You know, yes, I am an encourager. Yes, I am an entertainer. Yes, I am a singer. And I take all of that and I put them into my mediums. And I think every now and then I say something that makes you think, makes you go, makes you go, you know what? Let me reassess the way I was looking at this situation.
Yes. 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 I love that. I don't know why, but you remind me of, and I only met this guy once, you remind me of Patrick Ian Polk.
Wow.
And what you're trying to do. And I love him. I absolutely adore him.
Can we talk about him for a millisecond? I don't think people realize how monumental he has been in what he does and what he contributed to Hollywood.
Yes. To Hollywood, his music as well. People don't know that he is a musician as well. He's just super dope.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I thought about this because there's a new Noah's Ark he's working on a new Noah's Ark, right? Yeah. Do you realize Noah's Ark came out 18 years ago?
That's right.
So all these new millennial gays, they was just in kindergarten.
That's
they were
right.
in preschool.
And his ears and all this. Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different world, but the thing about it is his content and what he contributed was so ahead of his time. Nobody was talking about black queer relationships in a positive light.
No. And then he showed an array of black gay men. And that blew my mind. Yes. You know, we were all like, oh my God, from Noah to Wade to everybody. Everybody was different.
Everybody was different. He really, and there's a movie called Punks. I highly recommend if you can find it.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Yes. Really good film. And I believe he did that right before Noah's Ark, I believe, or was it right after? I can't remember.
Yeah.
So
wow, thank you for that compliment.
Film.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's what your whole everything that you're trying to do. That's what I feel. So I really want to stay connected to you because I see really big things in your life and your future. So tell everyone where they can find you on social media because y'all need to follow him. Listen.
Follow me at your own risk. I will say that. You can follow me on TikTok at I am Daryl Walter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, I still got a Facebook. That's for all of my uncles and aunties and my grannies and grandpas out there. They need love too. So you can follow me on Facebook at I am Daryl Walter. Okay, and on TikTok and Instagram. I'm not on Twitter, okay? I'm saved. Okay, y'all go and have that demonic Twitter to itself. And of course, you can hear me. Listen, my friend told me about that Twitter. That's all I'll say. Y'all, I'm not on Twitter, but y'all, anyways, I might be on Twitter, but that's none of your business. And you can hear me here every Tuesday on Bullet Flight and every Wednesday on Pyro Media Network. And just type in Daryl Walter, DarylWalter, and I'll come up somewhere.
That's right. So everyone, you heard it here first. So please be sure to check them out, like and follow and subscribe. You are in for a very special treat. Well, as I said, as we've been talking, he does not serve up a bunch of fluff and all of that, but very intellectual conversation that happens to be entertaining. Oh, yeah. So if you're looking for a special treat, make sure you subscribe, you follow, you watch, and you listen, because you will not be disappointed. So, Daryl, I want to thank you for joining us today. This has been a very special treat.
Thank you, my friend, for having me. This has been a great conversation.
Yes, it has. I can talk to you. We're going to have to invite you back for sure, because every single time I talk to you, I really, really, I just feel so good afterwards. It's like, yes. So, because you talk about a lot of things that are always rolling around in my head, and I feel like when we speak, we understand each other perfectly. So I just love that.
We get it.
Yes. Yeah, so everyone, stay tuned. Up next, we're going to play a few gospel jams, a few inspirational jams even, so you don't want to miss out. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Thank you, Bishop Carlton Pinson, for that A and B selection. Yeah, praise God.
Come on here, Mama.
Hello, is this thing on?
Praise the Lord, saints. Mama, stop all that.
Me and my daughter, Ruby.
Hello.
We are here to deliver some radio announcements for bulletin flags.
Yes, Mama.
Inspect the bullets. Yes.
Mama, stop it. It's Bulletin Flight Radio. It's Bulletin Flight.
The announcements goes as follows. Please join us every week for Just Dominic's Top 40 Gospel Songs. Oh, it's just heaven. And don't miss out on the indie spotlight that plays all throughout the week. And don't forget to listen to It's Just Kim, Pyro Power Hour, Intersexuals in the church, intersexuals around the church.
Mama,
well,
y'all check out Victory Harvest.
My Lord, I love the sermons from Vision Church of Atlanta and Renewed LA with Pastor Kurt Thomas. Yes, God, it blesses my soul. Yes, God, y'all tune in.
That's right, babies. Y'all be sure to tune in to Bulletin Flight Radio 7 days a week, 24/7.
Yes, Holy Ghost.
And for more information, visit bulletinflightradio.com. Again, that's bulletinflightradio.com.
Yes, and you know, Bulletin Flight is on
Mama
24/7.
That's what I just said, Mama.
Well, Jesus, no,
Mama.
Y'all go and check out their schedule. Bulletin Flight Radio.
Your story,
our station.
Mama.
The best progressive Christian station in the world.
Come on here, Mama.
Dear pilots, on behalf of Bulletin Flight Productions and Radio, we want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to present an amazing opportunity to your organization which furthers positive gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender plus community endeavors throughout our network. Our platform, Bulletin Flight Radio, delivers powerful messages 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on topics like sexuality, mental wellness, faith, and religion, reaching over 10K plus listeners each month. From Airtime Pro to Radio FM. With Radio FM, you can play any live Bulletin Flight radio show on your iPhone and iPad. Tune in to tons of free programming featuring all the latest music on earth. Our first anniversary and annual celebration is here. Help us make 2023 even bigger for you. Ways to give to this inclusive, progressive, Christian nonprofit 501c3 for all believers in breaking all boundaries are as follows. Cash App, $, Bulletin Flight Radio, or mail your checks to P.O. Box 2545, Victorville, California 92393. And remember, this is your story, our station.